Look at these wires. Look.
They're burnt.
This is a mess. Hello viewers, welcome to Keats Auto and Truck Repair. Today we have a 2012 Mercedes Sprinter with a 3.0 liter engine. The customer complaint on this vehicle is the check engine light is remaining on the dash and the van is losing power tremendously. I scanned the van last week because it's Monday today. When the customer dropped off the vehicle, there was a low boost code in the engine computer. So now the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to smoke the induction system to see if we have a boost leak somewhere, and then we will go from there. Now, I also want to mention that this vehicle came to us from one of our subscribers. The owner of this vehicle lives in Delaware and his name is Don. So Don, thank you for taking business to us. We're also going to replace the engine harness on this vehicle. I will show you why. So let me open the hood first. Let me get this light here. Although cameraman Matt, actually I didn't mention your name behind the camera. We have our famous cameraman Matt. Although Matt makes fun of me when I have a flashlight outside. Isn't it helping, Matt? he makes fun of me when we have a light here. So we're gonna do a quick visual inspection under the hood. So maybe I should give you this. Actually, the turbo looks new. I don't know if you can see it. I'm gonna remove the air filter box. So the customer says it's losing power. Now, there are a couple of things that I'm going to share with you throughout this video. One of them is if you own a Sprinter van and your Sprinter loses power when you go up the hill, or if you have a low boost code, the issue will most likely be a leaking turbo inlet tube. I mean, not inlet, turbo outlet tube. So this tube over here, there's an O-ring over here that usually leaks. So as you can see, the turbo looks new. It looks like it was replaced, and it looks like someone put an aftermarket turbo on this thing, and this is a big no-no. If you see a turbo that looks like this, this is a red flag. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna check this actuator first. So I am going to get my scan tool connected to the vehicle. We're gonna turn the actuator on and off to see if it's working, because if the actuator does not open and close the vanes in the turbo is not going to be able to create boost around the intake manifold. So I'm gonna get the scan tool connected and then I'll bring you guys back up. I got the scan tool connected to the vehicle. We're not gonna show you guys what I'm seeing here on the screen. We're just gonna show you the actuator. Let's see if we can turn this actuator on and off. This thing's got a lot of trouble codes. We have mass airflow sensor codes, DPF codes. Okay, that's interesting. Component charge pressure positioner has an open circuit. All right, so let's go into the engine computer. Let's go to active test. Okay, cameraman Matt, if you can focus on this actuator here, I'm gonna turn it on. Let's see if that little lever is gonna move. I'm turning it on right now. The lever is now moving. Okay, right here. I don't know if you can tell. So I'm pressing these buttons. As I'm pressing these buttons, that lever should have moved. Okay, so nothing is happening when we turn the actuator on and off. Now the question is it the actuator that's bad, or is it the wiring of the actuator? I'm gonna grab a test light so we can test the wiring of the actuator. To check the actuator wiring, we're gonna remove this tube. I already undid the clamp off camera, so we're just gonna push this out of the way. Oh, check this out. Look how burnt these wires are. Oh, wow. Yeah, so these wires, someone fixed these wires, but it looks like they did not do a good job. All these, hold on, let me remove this tube completely. Pull this out of the way. Yeah, look at this. Whoever did this didn't do a good job. So look at these wires. Look.
They're burnt?
This is a mess. Yeah, they probably burnt. When the customer dropped off the vehicle, he dropped off the wiring harness. So he knew about this. He told me that the engine wiring harness had to be replaced. Yeah, look at that. Look at this. So let's just do a quick test. I'm gonna go in the vehicle and turn the key on. Let's see if we have power going to the actuator. So the key is on. Now, I had worked on this Sprinter a while back. I didn't install this turbo. The owner lives in Delaware, so he cannot bring his vehicle to us all the time. I believe he had someone else in Delaware do this. Because when the customer first brought the vehicle to me, it was like 6 months ago, a long time ago. I told him that the DPF, I think when he brought the vehicle to me, the DPF had to be replaced. I cleaned it with DPF cleaner. It didn't work. I did tell the customer, it may or may not work. Let's try it. The customer said, sure, go ahead. So we tried it. The DPF cleaner didn't work. So I told him to bring it back so we could replace the DPF and figure out why the DPF got clogged. He took it somewhere else. They replaced the DPF. It looks like they also replaced the turbo, but the vehicle kept losing power. I remember seeing the wiring harness not being good. I told him, I think back then it was the glow plug wires that were burnt, but now it just got worse. So he did bring a new wiring harness that I'm gonna show you. We're gonna have to replace that. So let's check the actuator wiring first. So I have my test light connected to power. So if I touch ground, test light is gonna light. Right there, when I touch ground, test light lights. So I back probed the first wire on the actuator electrical connector. We're gonna touch this. Right there, we have power going to the actuator. So now, I believe the other one should be ground. So I'm gonna back probe this one here. So now I'm gonna switch my test light to ground. We're gonna put our test light right here, so that's ground. Now if I touch power, my test light should light. So test light lights. So key is on in the vehicle. So test light is connected to ground. Let's check the first wire. Very odd. Okay, so the test light lit when we connected the test light to power. So it looks like we are missing power. It's not ground. We're missing power at the actuator. Okay, so oh, my back probing tool just fell down. Okay, I heard it fall down, so I'm gonna get it. So now what I need to do is there's another test I want to do. I don't know how long this video is gonna be. We wanted to make this video very short. So what do you think, Matt? Should I keep going or should we cut that and break it into part 2? No? Okay. Guys, let us know. We're working on making shorter videos for you guys. I know there are some of you that want shorter videos. So now, since the customer brought us the whole harness, we are missing power at the actuator. We probably have a broken wire. You guys saw how bad the wiring is. I'm gonna show you the brand new wiring harness that the customer brought to us. Let me get it. We have it here. So this is what we're going to install. So here's the brand new wiring harness, because I told the customer if we're gonna do it, we have to do it right. So this is the entire ECM connector. This is the whole engine wiring harness. Now, to replace this wiring harness, we're gonna have to remove the turbo. The turbo has to be lifted up to install this wiring harness. So all our glow plug wires are here, all our injector wires, everything. Here's our turbo wiring. This is how it's supposed to look like. So I believe after we replace this engine wiring harness, the actuator wiring is going to be fixed. We're going to have power and ground at the actuator, and I believe that's going to help with the low boost that the customer is experiencing. So we got to fix the wiring first. Now we might still have a couple issues, but we have to change the wiring and see how the vehicle drives after that. But before we replace the wiring harness, I would like to send some smoke down the induction system to see how this induction system is going to hold smoke. Now, we're now going to show you guys the process of replacing the engine wiring harness. I'm going to do that off camera. Once we replace the engine wiring harness, then we will bring you guys back up so we can show you how the engine is going to run better. I'm going to grab my smoke machine. So we have done this multiple times here on our channel, so some of you will be familiar with what I'm doing right now. So we're gonna use this bladder here. Matt, remember this? You see this at the hospital. When you go to the hospital, they take you. Okay, so here comes some smoke. We're gonna connect this. So this is gonna send smoke down the induction system, and let's observe and see if there's a leak somewhere. So if we don't have a leak anywhere, then the issue will just be the actuator. Oh, look, we have smoke leaking over here. You see this?
I think it's coming out of...
Is it coming from the back or from over here? From here too? Like this whole area. I believe it's leaking from here and here. From the turbo outlet and the turbo inlet. Okay, now, the good thing is I have these seals here. I always keep some. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to replace the turbo outlet seal. There's a little green O-ring. Actually, I have one here. This little green O-ring goes on the turbo outlet, and then there's another orange ring that goes on the inlet tube. So I'm going to remove this tube. We're gonna seal these, and then we will see what happens. So I'm gonna grab the seal, and then I'll bring you guys back up. All right, so I got the turbo inlet tube removed. Now we're gonna remove the turbo outlet tube. I got all the bolts that keep it down in place removed. Let's see what we got. Look at this. You see how torn this O-ring is? So this O-ring was definitely causing a leak. So now I'm going to install this one. We're going to install this one over here. This green one. I always like these green O-rings because they seal a lot better. I mean, let me show you the difference. Look at this. Can you tell the difference, Matt?
Thicker.
Yeah? Okay. So we're going to install this one here. And then I'm going to reinstall this tube back on. I'm going to do that off camera. And I also want to show you this. So I plugged this PCV tube with a glove and a zip tie, and I installed a new orange O-ring over here, seal, for the turbo inlet. So right now it shouldn't leak. We shouldn't have a smoke leak over here. Okay, so I'm gonna push this in. This is gonna go right here. Now, actually, just for the sake of the video, I don't have to install the bolts. I can just leave that there because we don't even have to bolt that down. Okay, so now we're gonna tighten this clamp, because right now, before I call the customer and tell the customer everything we have to do, I'm checking the induction system to make sure that I don't miss anything, because if we have a leak around the charger cooler, while we have this leak over here, we're not gonna see it. We might miss it. So that's why I sealed this first, and then we're gonna smoke the induction system again to see if we have a leak somewhere else. So we're gonna bring our smoke machine here. You guys might ask, why didn't you check a fuse? Because remember, we were missing power at the turbo actuator wiring. Well, it's the engine computer that supplies power and ground to the turbo actuator. So after we replace the engine wiring harness, that should be fixed. So the power that goes to the actuator and the ground comes from the engine computer. So now let's send smoke down the induction system again, and let's see, let's observe this and see what happens. What do you think, Matt? Did we fix it? What?
It's fixed.
I guess. I mean, it's no longer leaking. Now I'm gonna look underneath here, because I know sometimes the charger cooler leaks too, but I'm not seeing a leak over here. Let me grab my light. The charger cooler looks dry, so that's good. If you see a little spot of engine oil on the charger cooler, that's usually an indication of a leaking spot, but I don't see that. All right, it's now holding smoke. I don't see smoke leaking from anywhere. That was a quick fix. Yeah, so this is very common on these sprinters. Let me get on this side. Yeah, so this is very common on these sprinters. If you have a boost leak on a sprinter van, I would check around the silencer and around the turbo outlet first. Yeah, it's definitely not leaking. Hold on. Let's see, do we have smoke going in here? I'm gonna pull this out. We should have smoke in here. Oh yeah, see that? Yeah, so we put this back. I just checked to make sure that we have smoke going in the induction system. That's good. All right, so you guys saw, after we replaced the turbo outlet O-ring and the turbo inlet orange seal, we no longer have a leak. So I believe that's what was causing the boost leak to be set in the engine computer. And knowing that the actuator is not actuating, that can also cause the boost leak or low boost code to be set in the engine computer. So we have fixed a problem, maybe not the problem. So we still have a problem with the wiring harness. So I'm going to turn off my smoke machine. So now I'm going to install the wiring harness. So this guy needs to be installed. Now, installing this is a pretty big job. If you're gonna install this, you have to remove the turbo. So if you're gonna do this, you might as well get the OEM part, because you don't wanna get the aftermarket one. So this is the OEM engine wiring harness that we got. So we're gonna install it, and then we're gonna test the actuator afterwards. If the actuator doesn't work, we're gonna have to replace the actuator. So we're gonna leave this right over here. I'm sure the owner of this vehicle, Mr. Don, is going to watch this video. So this is very common on this Sprinter vans. If you have a low boost code, make sure you check your inlet tubes, turbo inlet tubes. Make sure the O-rings are good, and also check the O-rings on the turbo outlet tubes, and also the tubes on the charger cooler, the one on the passenger side and the one on the driver's side, they leak out too. So I'm gonna do the work off camera. I'm gonna remove the turbo and install the engine wiring harness. We're not gonna show that on camera. It's basically the same process as removing and replacing the turbo, technically. So I've made videos here, a couple of videos. Matt, have we made videos about turbo? Like, remember that one video where the turbo was out and the intake manifolds and stuff we did in the shop? You don't remember? Matt is like, no. Do you even watch the videos? Yeah, so we have videos about this. So we don't have, I don't think we need to film this and show the whole process. I'm going to get the turbo out. I'm gonna get the harness installed, and then this will be done. So I'm gonna leave this right over here. There might be part 2 of this. I don't know if we're gonna film this after we put everything back together. After we put everything back together, I'm going to recommend cleaning the DPF, since there was a DPF code, and the customer told me that he had a DPF replaced not too long ago by another shop. We might have to clean it, and hopefully they installed a good quality DPF. So we're gonna get to it whenever we get to it. So be on the lookout. Maybe there will be part 2. If not, I'm gonna refer you to my previous videos. Everything I'm gonna do will be found here on the channel. I hope you like the video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumb down. Cameraman, not Kyler, cameraman Matt. Why am I thinking about Kyler? Because I love Kyler. I love you too, Matt. I love you too, Matt. Today we have cameraman Matt behind the camera. Cameraman Matt, thanks for being here. Thank you for the awesome work you're doing. I was watching the video you edited a couple of days ago. Great video, guys. I can't wait for you guys to see that video. Matt is doing a wonderful job. I was watching the video that he edited, and it's, man, I watch all the videos that they work on before I upload them. I was smiling. Like, you should have seen my smile as I was watching that video. I was so happy. You did a great job. So good job, Matt. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any comments, questions, criticism, leave them in the comment box. Thanks for being here. See you guys next time.